welcome to another edition of Flea Market Fantasy, the world's second greatest Bronze Age era comic book podcast. Joining me as always is new Mike L, Kevin Jank.
I am here and I am befuddled.
Well, last week here on the program, our old buddy Mike L was here, and he did an Animal Man book, which was whatever. And there's a coyote in there.
It was pretty good.
Yeah. There's a coyote in there.
Could have been worse.
And I was like, I like this is a perfect tie-in for a book I never read, but I'd heard tell of. Coyote from Epic Comics, 1983. And we're going to do issue 1 here today. Because I had never read Coyote. I had no idea what it was about or what was going on. And now, this week, Jack, after reading the first issue of Coyote, I still have no idea what it's about or what's going on. I'm so confused.
If it wasn't for Mike L talking about this, that he bought the entire series at one time, like I would have never heard of this, and I think I would have been happier that way.
That's the same with me. I'd never heard of it either. Because Mike L was on a run of buying all Steve Englehart stuff. And then, but he never really read the series, I don't think, even though he bought it and then sold it before I think he even read it. Because then one day Mike L realized, oh wait, Steve Englehart really wasn't that good. And he just sold it. But
that seemed to happen a lot. Like he would read one book that was like, oh, this is pretty good. Let me buy everything this guy ever did. Oh shit. Mistakes have been made.
The Coyote series, it was created by Steve Englehart and Marshall Rogers. Do you remember Marshall Rogers?
Doesn't sound familiar.
I believe he did the Silver Surfer, the one in the late 80s. Like he started that one off, I think. And then Ron Lim came in, after that. But he worked with Englehart on Batman. And they had kind of a significant run on Batman. So that's how they started working. But they created this Coyote stuff. And the series is probably most famous because Todd McFarlane had his first published work and a backstory in Coyote issue 11.
Damn, we should have done that one. Maybe it would have made more sense.
Not a fan of that either.
You would think starting at issue number 1 would help us out, but it didn't.
Not so much. All right, so this Coyote, again, created by Englehart and Marshall Rogers, although the artist here today is Steve Leialoha, and we'll talk about him in a minute, because I love the art in this book.
Sure. Yeah, it's interesting. I loved it. It's its own thing, for sure.
Yeah. And the coloring and everything, oh my goodness. I thought visually this book is really good. But, yeah. All right, so anyway, the Coyote character first appeared in Eclipse magazine issues 2 through 8 in 1981. And those were like, Eclipse magazine, I believe it was a black and white. I think it was. But it was like an anthology. They had a bunch of different stories in there. And like, so each, Coyote thing was 10 pages long, And then those, ongoing stories, they were collected in a color trade paperback called I Am Coyote.
Yeah, they briefly mentioned that in this one.
Yeah. So then, he got its own series here for Epic Comics in 1983. Epic was Marvel's creator-owned imprint.
Mm-hmm.
And it did not adhere to the Comics Code.
No, but this was approved by the Cosmic Code.
Oh.
Whatever the fuck that is.
Did not know that. But at least the Cosmic Code approves boobs. Because I think you see a little nipple in this. Just a hint of a nipple.
And swearing.
Yeah.
You could say shit.
And horny. The character is horny. Yeah. And there's some love making going on in this issue. So
yeah, you think this would be a great issue with all those qualifiers, but somehow I still managed to miss the mark.
Not so much. Now, Epic, we've talked about Epic on this show. I don't know if you were here, Jank. This was pre-Jank. I don't think you were a guest on this, but we did Dreadstar.
Oh, yeah.
Remember Dreadstar, like that, kind of like a swashbuckler out in space, and he had a monkey? I don't think you were on that episode.
No, I definitely not.
Yeah, so that was Jim Starlin, I believe, if I'm remembering properly. So yeah, Epic was creator-owned stuff. So, because Englehart had left Marvel in a dispute over creator rights. And then Jim Starlin called him up and got him back to come over to Epic. So he's like, all right, let's try this.
This was his passion project.
Yeah.
You could be doing Batman, but he really wanted to do Coyote.
Coyote. Now, we've talked about Englehart many times on this show. I mean, what do you know Englehart from, Jank? I think of Defenders. He did Defenders.
Yeah.
And didn't he do the West Coast Avengers early on, right?
Yeah, I think so. Doctor Strange. Didn't he do some Doctor Strange?
Sure, that sounds right. Whatever. But he's done a lot of stuff. And he's done several of his issues.
I think he lists his credits, some of his credits in that opening monologue here.
Yeah. Yeah, he does have an opening monologue.
Spider-Woman. Steve Lealoa.
That's Steve Lealoa,
yeah. Yeah.
But he did a lot.
Batman, Doctor Strange, and Captain America, and Mantis.
Now,
I guess he created Mantis in Avengers. Probably didn't.
Yes.
Write
I was going to say, Mantis didn't have her own series, did she?
Yeah. No, I don't remember that happening.
Yeah, who knows, though? You know, we'll have to go back and look. Englehart wrote all 16 issues of Coyote, and then it got canceled there. Now, the artist is Steve Lealoa. We've never talked about him on the show. He was born in San Francisco in 1952, and his dad was a native Hawaiian, and he freelanced for Marvel from 1976 to 1988. He has 50 penciling credits at Marvel and 100 inking credits. The most penciling he did was he did 20 issues of Spider-Woman.
Oh,
and yeah, we did Spider-Woman before on the show, but I think Carmine Infantino was the artist of the issue we did. So maybe I'll have to go back and check some of his work on Spider-Woman.
Yeah, I wonder if it was the same or if he was doing something different here.
He did 3 issues of New Mutants, issues 32 to 34. He also drew Uncanny X-Men Annual 8. Which, yeah, it's the one with Emma Frost on the cover and Kitty Pryde, like she's standing over Kitty Pryde.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
Yeah, I remember the book. I don't remember what goes on in the book, but I definitely remember the cover because I had all the X-Men books. Then he did some work at DC. He has 26 penciling credits at DC, and he was one of the artists who worked on Batman 400. And he has 183 inking credits at DC, mostly on a book called Fables. Which I never heard of Fables. Did you ever hear of Fables?
Me neither. No, maybe we'll have to check that out.
Yeah, I probably won't. But, like, cause it has well over 100 issues and he inked pretty much all of them, like, main inker on there. So, check that out. But do you recognize, Steve Lealoa from anything else?
No, I was surprised he did some books I've actually probably read. So
yeah,
it wasn't a name that stuck in my head for some reason. You know, it's pretty memorable. Lealoa, it's different.
He did, one of the inking things he did was, Secret Wars 2. So we probably encountered, when we did Secret Wars 2 not too long ago, he inked that issue.
Huh.
So, that was Al Milgrom on the art.
Yeah. Yep.
But I seem to recall when we read that, we were like, this is probably the best Al Milgrom I can remember in a long time, and maybe that's why Lealoa was inking it. All right. Anything else about those creators you'd like to mention, Jank?
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, I can't really get too much else about Coyote because no one really knows anything about it or talks about it ever.
Yeah, I don't remember this character ever popping back up somewhere.
No.
Does he actually exist in the Marvel Universe? Because Epic was kind of, I don't know, nebulous whether those counted or not. Like, Elektra, those I think counted. Like, when Frank Miller came to do Elektra Assassin and, you know, Elektra Lives Again or whatever that hardcover was. Yep. I think those counted as part of, you know, Marvel Universe, but.
Yeah, there's also a Coyote who's a different character in the main Marvel Universe. He was like a villain in Daredevil in the 2000s.
Oh.
He kind of looks like a Harlequin, like Joker kind of look to him. Like,
yep.
I don't know.
That sounds like Mark Waid era.
Yeah, I think it was actually.
Yeah. But, Chris Samney. They had kind of similar art to this, yeah.
I love Chris Samney. He was awesome.
Yeah.
Daredevil. Big fan. All right, so let's look at Coyote. Let's look at this cover, Jank. This is also Steve Lealoa. I should say this. I guess here's some more background on the book. So the idea was, you know, Englehart and Lealoa would be doing this book Coyote. They were all excited. It took Lealoa 5.5 months to draw this first issue.
Holy hell.
So right away, that's kind of like a red flag. Like, look out.
Yeah.
This could be a problem.
This book's not going to be out on time.
So if you notice at the end of this book, it says in 2 months, or it's supposed to be published bi-monthly, I guess,
Mm-hmm.
And
Did they
so,
say that?
well, interesting you ask that. So it then took Leihaloa 2.5 months to draw issue 2. And then after issue 2, he quit.
Ooh.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that was a problem. So they got Jackson Guise to fill in on issue 3. He did 1 issue. And then he couldn't keep doing it because he was very busy with other stuff as well. So then they looked and they found a new, young artist, Charles Truag. Remember we just encountered him, Chaz Truag, on Animal Man.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, he drew the Animal Man. So he took over with issue 4, and he did the rest of the series.
Except for the Farland backups.
Yeah, because they would have not lots of, but I think they would have. I think it was also a fact that Truag couldn't keep up with the monthly schedule either, so they would have backup stories. So like the Coyote story would be like 11 pages, and then they'd have another story after. I think Steve Ditko did about
Coyote that slows everyone down so much.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think we encountered it. But Ditko did some of the backup stories with characters called the Jinn, like DJINN, the old mystical things.
Yeah, the Wishmaster.
And then McFarlane did, I think, 11, 12, and maybe 13 and 14. He had backstories in those issues. And then by 16, it was canceled. So, but yeah, Charles.
To be honest.
Chaz Truag, 2 weeks in a row here on Flea Market Fantasy.
Yeah, what a real streak.
Yeah. But Archie Goodwin was the editor-in-chief at Epic at the time, and he said this series never recovered after Leihaloa left. Like, I mean, it had a unique visual and everything, so it's like, oh, this could be something. And then once he left, it's like, oh, well, that's not going to be. And they were just always late in running. I guess at a comic book convention before Coyote was released, when they were just talking about the idea and how it was going to be creator-owned and just Englehart and Leihaloa were going to be doing it, and someone asked him, well, what's going to happen if you guys can't keep up with it? Because if it's only 2 of you guys doing it, if you fall behind. And Englehart said, well, that's not going to happen. And then it happened right out of the gate.
Well, I mean, in retrospect, it probably would have been better just to do it like every 3 months. Like, were people chomping at the bit for Coyote? They can't wait.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe, if they did maybe like self-contained stories, like a quarterly or something, maybe.
Yeah. Why not?
But like make them bigger, because this first issue, it seemed long, right? This was.
Yeah, it sure did. It felt like an eternity.
Yeah, I didn't check the page, but I think it had to be at least 30 pages, right?
I'm going to look right now. I think, it's like 32, maybe?
Yeah, so.
They stopped counting at a certain point. 32, it looks like.
And
it could have been 64 or maybe 100.
Yeah, it felt the same. And at one point, I don't know what issue had started doing this, but Coyote, they were advertising as voted one of the top 8 comics in the world or something. And that was all because one guy wrote an article in like some comic fanzine or something saying it was among his 8 favorite comics. So they put that on the cover.
He must have been a really big fan of the art and just didn't read it. Like he just likes pictures.
Yeah, so let's look at this cover here for Coyote issue 1, April of 1983. The cover at $1.50. We got the Epic Comics box. Now the cover's a wraparound cover. So when
I love a good wraparound cover.
Yeah, this is a good one. And when you read it, we're seeing both of them. But the Epic corner box, it's like a big yellow lowercase e on a black background surrounded in yellow, and then Epic Comics underneath that. But then tell us about the rest of this, Jank.
Well, it's hard to describe because there's a lot going on here, but it's basically, there's a night scene out in the desert. The night sky is there. It's dark, a lot of stars twinkling, and up in the sky you see a ghost coyote. The spirit of this coyote just kind of in space there with the twinkling eyes matching up with the stars twinkling in the sky. And it looks like there's a rock formation kind of going on the ground that extends up into the air. and there's some like cave drawings or like, Native American drawings on these, on the rocks. And then we got a guy who kind of looks like Warpath from the X-Men or Thunderbird.
A little bit.
Jumping through the air. And then it says all new, all primal, first issue. And we got a shot of these two ladies kind of just sitting there in the rocks. They're kind of hiking, I guess, at night, wearing like disco clothes. Well, that's a good choice.
Yeah, the one's a white lady with short blonde hair, and the one's a black lady with longer black hair, and they're sisters.
Yeah. Coyote was confused about that.
We learned same father, different mothers. That's how
Like I got around.
Yeah, it's getting it done. But I love this. The cover's great. Like the coloring on this, a lot of purples and oranges and yellows and blues, and that coyote up there in the sky is pretty awesome. On the left, there's also a little coyote in the top right, barking at the moon too. See that?
Oh, that's true. Yeah.
So the cover looks pretty great.
Much like the comic itself, it doesn't give you much idea of what's happening, but what this issue's about. But it's cool
visually
looking.
Appealing though, yeah.
Yep.
And yeah, like you mentioned, there's that little circle there approved by the Cosmic Code.
Yeah.
I guess Silver Surfer likes it. So then we look at the credits here: writer, creator Steve Englehart, artist Steve Leialoha, colorist Steve Leialoha, and Steve Oliff. Because the coloring in this book is awesome too, but I don't know. How do you think they divided it up? If I had to guess, I would say Leialoha like maybe colored the like the mystical coyote stuff, maybe the folklore. Because otherwise, how else would you? Or I guess they could have just broken it up anyway. But I don't know. Maybe that's what happened.
Did you notice that everyone on here is named Steve?
Yeah.
Is that a joke? We've got Steve Englehart, Steve Leialoha, Steve Oliff, Steve Orzakowski, Steve Goodwin, Steve Duffy, and Steve Shooter. Is that Steve Shooter, or is that just Jim Shooter and they just named
Jim Shooter, Archie Goodwin.
Yeah.
Joe Duffy.
This is like
they did that as a gimmick, a little in joke, I guess. But yeah,
like
everybody's named Steve.
Halloween specials where they gave them crazy Halloween names.
Yeah, I think it was just a nod to Englehart and Leialoha both being named Steve, so they said let's play a little joke. But so you open up the Coyote. The title itself is in a pretty interesting little font. I guess it kind of looks like what South Western kind of a font.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, but it's pretty cool. So then you open it up and we get a welcome back, Steve Englehart, and he talks to you about his history there and why he's back. He wrote a novel too while he was out there called The Point Man.
He's writing a welcome back letter to himself.
Yeah.
Welcome back, me. So good to see me again.
And then he says, Steve Leialoha and I put a lot of energy into Coyote. Our rather modest plan is to create the comics hero for the 80s.
Wow. Swing and a miss.
And to do that, we're working on both a grander and a subtler scale than most comics heretofore. Anytime someone uses the word heretofore, I just want to smack them in the mouth. So there you go. This guy, he had pretty big aspirations for Coyote.
Lofty ambitions, that's for sure.
Yeah. Not so much.
Leialoha apparently not on board.
Yeah.
For the long haul.
All right, Jank. How does this? I guess it opens up at the UNLV College of Anthropology.
Yeah.
And we see some dudes. I don't know. They're talking about the weather and shit. And then you explain what's going on, Jank.
Well, we have a Native American guy working here at this university, the College of Anthropology. Very, very red.
Yeah, they did.
Bordering on racist, how red this guy looks.
Yeah, the color. Yeah, the coloring in this book is awesome, but maybe they went a little much on the red here. Just
yeah. Like if Washington had to change their football team's name, like this guy probably recolored. But yeah, some guys are intimidating him, trying to get some information out of him, out of Coyote. This becomes like a running thing where they keep going after more people to find out about Coyote instead of just asking the first guy, because it seems like everyone knows the same myth. So I don't know why they get part of it from this guy and part of it from the next guy and part of it from the next guy when they probably all know the whole thing. Like maybe just don't be in such a hurry to.
They're like two guys, like Men in Black kind of guys, two guys in suits, and they have a little thing in their hand, like the palm,
like a little web shooter.
Touches your chin, and yeah, that is what it looks like, and it brainwashes you, knocks you loopy. So then you spill your guts, you know. So this guy just tells all about the myth of the Coyote, and like I don't know, I didn't do any research on this, if like these are actual folklore of Native Americans or if this is just what Englehart made up. I have no idea.
I'm assuming it's got to be real, because if it was not real, like Englehart should have put some work into making this make sense. That's why I think this has to be real. It's just so random and like, oh, now he turns into a water spider. What the fuck is this? Like, no sane person could write this, so it has to be real.
Like it starts out with the Coyote up in like heaven with his spiritual. I guess it's God he's talking to, or it's a Native American guy.
The Great Spirit, essentially.
Yeah, the Great Spirit. That's what I was looking for. And he started out as a dog, right? He was called Dog, but then he played a trick or something, and he said, "All right, now you're Coyote. You don't deserve the title Dog anymore." So
But he's like, "I like that. It's sexier."
That's so weird. Yeah. There's no way that's in an actual myth. The Coyote said it's sexier. So.
Yeah, that's probably not part of it. Yeah, probably embellished.
But I guess the Great Spirit asked him to go spread the stars in the sky, right? But and he put the stars in like a little bag or something. But the Coyote, he didn't want to go running around out throughout space spreading the stars, so he just threw the bag and like the stars. That's how we got the Milky Way, because all the stars kind of clumped together. And then the Great Spirit's like, "What the fuck? I told you to go. All right, you're no longer a dog. You're a Coyote. And you can't live up here with me. You're banished down to the earth. You're down there now on the earth." So he goes down to the earth as a coyote.
Yeah.
And then he meets a lady, Jank. Why don't you tell us what happens here when he meets the lady?
Oh boy. Yeah, this took some weird turns. Again,
yes,
if Steve Young came out of Steve Englehart's brain, like somebody ought to do some experiments on this man, find out what's wrong with him. So he gets sent down to Earth. He sees a lady. He's like, "Well, I never saw one like this before. She's just, standing there naked in the stream, washing her kibbles and bits."
Now she has very long hair. You don't see any boob. It's like covering up her boobs.
Yeah. Sadly, none here. They saved that for later on. Coyote wanted to follow the woman, but she walked on the water. She said to him, "Don't you know that on the earth you can change yourself into anything? You can talk to anything and hear anything talk except the water." "Why, yes, I knew that all the time." And he became a water spider. See, what the fuck is this? This doesn't track at all.
And we don't see him as a water spider. They don't show him as a water spider.
No.
It's just
none of the pictures seem to go with what's happening in these things.
But here's my favorite part, though, coming up.
Yeah, this is where it gets steamy here. When they got to the woman's house, he met Ocean Old Woman, her mother. Ocean Old Woman had never seen a man before. Now he's still a coyote, not even like a coyote, just full coyote. He's just a dog.
Yeah, and her mom is very old. She's got like really long white hair, and her boobs are sagging pretty strong. So.
Yeah, she's like that woman in The Shining that gets out of the bathtub. Coyote stayed with them a summer and a winter. At first, he had trouble sleeping with them because they didn't know that stuff.
They didn't know that stuff.
Sleeping with a dog.
I'm pretty sure that's not in an actual Native American myth or folklore. They didn't know that stuff.
Like, how did the old woman have her daughter if she didn't know that stuff?
I don't know.
And he explained it to them. They didn't believe him. But when he showed them, they liked it.
So if you're scoring at home, this coyote came down to Earth, started banging a lady and her mom.
Yep. It's like one of the Ed stories.
Oh, wow. So,
yeah, but they both gave birth to his to many small children of his, but they all put in a water jug. And the old woman's like, "Scatter these around the earth." So it's like the star thing all over again. He's
the
like, yeah, I'm
children
not
are
very
like
good.
rabbits
Yeah.
and wolves and deer, like, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, those births had to be painful, pushing out that deer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oof. It was supposed to be a C-section, but now it is.
But all the little animals go in the water bucket, like you were saying, and he had to go spread out the animals all over the world. But he does a better job of it this time, though, right? He actually goes around and spreads stuff out.
I like that they throw some shade because he's also, some of them are people. Like he puts different people in different places. Like then he came here to Ash Meadows, opened the jug for us. Then he went to Moapa, where he let out all the ugly people. Fucking Moapa.
Yeah, someone
That's like
from Moapa is reading this right now with a tear coming down their cheek. Like, what the fuck? I didn't know I was ugly. So, I don't know. Now we cut away from the myth and the folklore stuff, and now we're back to those guys who I think it's the same guys who the guy at the museum. His name was Longhorse or something, Jimmy Longhorse or something like that.
Yeah, very Longhorse maybe.
So now, what exactly is going on here? They unleash this monster.
Yeah, that we end up seeing later on, and I guess to kill that guy that they just got that story out of. I assume.
Yeah.
But yeah, you just hear boom and bam and whump and bam, and you don't really see what the fuck is happening.
Yeah.
And they find the body later on, and that was a confusing scene too, because it's like, what? I didn't even realize at the time that they were the same people, that this was the guy. Because they don't show the body later on, they don't it's a very strange scene all around. Not very well plotted out.
So now we cut from that, and we're at 2 p.m. the next day, and we're at some resort hotel in. Is this in Vegas? Is that where they're at? Or?
Yeah. Too bad it's not one of those topless pools. This kind of was a lot more interesting.
Yeah, you see a bunch of people at the pool there enjoy themselves, and we see a fella in white pants and a yellow shirt. And anytime you see a guy in white pants, do not trust him. That's all I'm telling you. Do not trust that guy.
Good advice.
But he's the hero in this story. The guy in the white pants.
Sylvester Santangelo.
Santangelo, yeah, they call him Sly, Mm-hmm. And he's Coyote.
Yeah.
He's the Coyote. Although we don't really know that yet. We'd learn that slowly. But how he meets Cassie, the girl with the short blonde hair, and her sister Natalie. They just come in and they say, "Hey, moving in." Now, has that ever happened to you, Cenk?
Neighborly. Fuck no.
You're moving somewhere, and two foxy ladies come up and say, "Hey, how you doing? Moving in?" Never happens. Never.
This is thing. I guess that one time when Tuffy, our buddy Tuffy over on the LCS show, didn't he meet a lady because she locked herself out or something?
That is true. Yeah, but she wasn't single though. She had a fella. Yeah. Remember? So it wasn't nearly the same thing.
I mean, that's the closest any of us will ever come to this type of situation, I think.
But this is I always love when this shit happens. Oh yeah, two foxy ladies just come right up to you. Oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, and he's the best to live ever.
He starts flirting with them right away, and because he's a coyote. He's horny, this coyote guy, because he's like half man, half animal, I don't know.
Apparently he's kind of new to being a person though, or being in the human world. I don't know. So he's is where very horny because I guess he's just been introduced to women recently, and one of them just scorned him really bad. So he's on the rebound.
Yeah, this is where things get confusing. Later on, they talk about his history. He's kind of like a werewolf. He's kind of between the realm of man and wolf or something. Yep. I don't fucking understand. And then he can also astral project, his spirit comes out of his body and runs around and shit.
Yep.
I don't understand any of it.
Yeah. I was so confused.
Yeah. So, I don't know. Does he have power? He's kind of like Wolverine. He seems to have heightened senses and stuff.
Maybe.
So, would the best way to describe it saying this great spirit of the coyote is in human form. Would that be the best way to describe it?
I thought later on he did merge, like he learned how to be the Coyote. Like I thought he was a person at one point, but then he learned to be the Coyote from some other guy who was the Coyote before him.
I have no idea. I have no fucking idea.
Yeah, see, this is why this issue was not so good. Like I fuck if I know what's happening.
And I did read a article about the Coyote. Someone else was writing about Coyote there, and I guess in like maybe issue 3, the letters page, someone wrote in, or maybe they're talking about I think they're talking about issue 3, and he said, we're 3 issues into this, and I still don't know what the fuck Coyote's powers are, or like how he's. Yeah. So it wasn't just us.
Yeah, that's the problem.
It was everyone who encountered this had no idea what was going on with this book. Like,
yeah, I mean, some mystery is good, but yeah, when you don't even know the basics, it's like, well, this is just kind of frustrating.
This is not how you start out a new book. It's almost like he's going on the assumption that everyone read the I Am Coyote stuff. Because later on, we get a crash course in what happened at I Am Coyote. He just forces it into like an internal monologue, and it's really clunky. And it's like, what the fuck is he talking about? And it's like, oh, there's a little note. Check out the trial, I Am Coyote or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. Well, you got to do it better.
Well, at least he wasn't, telling it to somebody who already knows it or something. At least it was just all in his head.
Yeah, but you got to like when you start a new book like this, you need to show us who the hero is, why he's a hero, why we should care about him. Because I don't give a fuck about this guy. Like, is there anything likable about this guy? We're jumping to the end here, how we recap things, but
he had sex with a lady, so that was cool.
Yeah, but that just makes me not like him because he has 2 hot ladies chasing after him and he's having sex with them for no apparent reason. We need to see why he's a hero, why we should care about him, and there is no good because he like even his internal monologue, he's kind of like a dick. Not really but just like not a respectable, honorable guy. He seems like he's a trickster. So it's like, all right, well, I guess just the way he talks about the women in his mind and stuff. It's like, oh well, this guy's sleazy as fuck. Why should I like this guy? But,
that's true. And the one girl seems really into him, but he's just kind of like, yeah, whatever.
He kind of wants to have a 3-way with both sisters. Like, all right, we're jumping way ahead.
Sure he would not turn it down.
Yeah. All right. So anyway, he's meeting the sisters for the first time here, and they're telling him, different mother, same father, and but he's really into both of them, and he's like, hey, maybe I'll see you around or whatever. I don't know. They're flirting. He says, hey, you're a runner, huh? And she's like, running? How did you know? Oh yeah, the body, because she's so fucking hot. This lady, she has a runner's body, I guess. Oh. And he's like, oh yeah, the body. I do 10 miles a day myself. I'll try to keep up. 6 a.m., 9 miles out on Route 16. Done. So they're going to run tomorrow, the next day. That's what would happen if 2 foxy ladies moved in next to you, Jank, right? You'd go running with them the next day for 9 miles?
I could run the 50-yard dash, I guess. And then
I don't even think that would be possible. But I could. Yeah, I'm not going running either, so don't worry. All right, now this guy, the Coyote, he's the Coyote. Man, I don't know what the fuck going on here. So, all right, Jack, what happens now? He's trying. I guess we should say there's kind of like an Illuminati, a secret organization. What are they called?
Something
Shadow Cabinet or something like that. I think it's
called. Sounds right.
And for some reason they want to get this Coyote guy, although we don't know what the fuck reason why. We have no idea why. And he's trying to take them down, and again, we have no reason why. We don't know why.
I think it has to do with, they keep talking about that lady, the lady that spurned him the first time. Like, she apparently was working for this shadow cabinet and trying to, I don't know, recruit him or kill him or something. And so he found out that she was evil and, like, she died. And so now he's trying to get revenge on this shadow cabinet.
And again, that all took place in those first installments in Epic Magazine that were collected in I Am Coyote. But man, it would be nice if, I don't know, usually when this stuff happens, they give you a flashback or something.
Yeah.
Like one page.
Lady.
Yeah, so we can see what she looks like. We can see what's going on. Like a 1-page summary, just catch you up on everything,
Mm-hmm.
We don't get any of that. We don't get any of that.
Nope.
So now we,
kind of get his backstory a little bit here. Let's see if it makes any more sense this time. Coyote, of the two we've seen, this one's the hardest to explain. Last year, he smashed the plutonium Oscar plot. 17 years ago, he was a babe whose parents had just died in the desert. He was found by a madman who claimed that he could become a coyote, a were-coyote, when the moon rose over the hills. As it happened, however, he could. He raised the boy as his own for 10 years by himself, and 5 more with a woman, Moria, who joined them as his wife and mother. She was a psychic vampire. See, what the fuck is this? No explanation of that, just she was a psychic vampire, of course. Together they educated the boy, taught him the ways of the werewolf. So yeah, I guess he was a boy and then got raised by this weird couple, and they taught him to walk in this werewolf.
But now while all this is being told, he's like floating around like a astral projection kind of spirit.
Yeah. But like his astral projection looks like, a coyote man, like a were-coyote.
Yeah. And I just don't understand. I don't know.
No. Not laid out very well at all.
And I guess the plot, the lady wanted to bring down Hollywood or something. They were trying to, like, the Oscar plot, the plutonium Oscar plot. I think they're going to, like, destroy the movie industry in LA or something. I think that's what it was. So
that's pretty
I don't know. But anyway, he shows up at this casino, I guess owned by the people in the upper cabinet or the shadow cabinet or whatever it's called. And for some reason, he can correctly predict roulette. Like,
yeah.
Wow.
Apparently that's a superpower.
Yeah.
That being a coyote grants you.
Yeah, so he sidles up next to this foxy lady, and he's like, "Hey, you should bet on whatever, 12 or whatever." And she bets like 3 times in a row and wins each time. And she's like, "Oh, you're the greatest." And then some guys come in from the casino and kick him out, And he's like, "Oh, what are you doing there, wise guy?" And he's like, "I'll be back though, because I'm the coyote." And he's skipping away. I don't know. Like, is that his astral projection or is that him as Coyote? Like, I don't understand.
Yeah. Very strange.
Yeah. Because they keep calling him, like, he's the one who dances, right? They say he dances as a coyote. He dances through the world.
Mm-hmm.
That's a couple of references they make to him. He begins to twirl.
He is on a motorcycle now as the coyote, so I guess that was his real form.
Yeah, and apparently he's a shit motorcyclist because he just wrecks it right away.
Yeah. Just runs it into some rocks.
And he crashes. But luckily, he happens to wreck his motorcycle right where Cassie and her sister Natalie are waiting for him.
Yep. That's convenient.
So now he changes back to his regular form and he's in running clothes. I don't understand any of this. And he's like, all right, let's go.
I guess he can just do whatever he wants. It seems like he could become other things other than just Sly if he wanted to, but he never really does.
So then he goes off for the run with Cassie, the short blonde-haired lady, and the sister's eating a sandwich in the Jeep.
Yeah, she just loves eating. No running for her, just sitting around eating.
Yeah, and like he's kind of a dick to her too. Like even the dialogue's confusing in this. I don't understand what's going on. Like Cassie says, the only one chasing after me is you, big talker. I'm ready to go. And then he says, well, right if you get work. What the fuck does that mean? I don't even understand.
Yeah. Like there's a point in this book where he's drugged and like he's missing some words from his speech bubbles and stuff. And I'm like, why does most of the book feel like this? Like I feel like I'm missing things.
But yeah, the sister's eating a sandwich in a Jeep, and she's just going to drive. She's going to drive, and they're going to run to like a cafe to meet her. So I like the sister already. She's not into that running bullshit. She's going to go hang out.
Such as eating, it's just something you would never do.
Yeah, and then he even like makes fun, like in his thoughts about her. He says, "What does he say about her?" She says something like, "Wow, this girl really likes food." Wait, no, he says it out loud. He's like, "Real interested in food, that girl. How dare she eat food?" God damn. What is she doing? Eating
Trying
food?
To give her anorexia.
All right, so Cassie, they do their jog there. They run through the desert, and they get to the cafe to meet Natalie. And then Cassie relaxes while Natalie immediately hops in the Jeep and drives Sly back to where he started so he could get his motorcycle.
Yeah, so get his motorcycle. Yeah.
That seems awkward. Like, why didn't the sister go with them?
Yeah. Or if she's just why don't you throw the bike in the back of this Jeep? It's got plenty of open space and just drive it to the fucking cafe.
Well, I guess because they had to find the body, but the sister and Sly have to find the body, and I guess Cassie, they don't want Cassie finding the body because apparently, this Natalie, she has, psychic powers herself.
Yeah, I did not understand that at all until later on they mentioned it again. I'm like, oh, that's what happened? I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, but I'm guessing Cassie doesn't, and so I'm sure Engelhart had this all plotted out, like one sister has powers, one doesn't, and how they but I was like, wow, this is just a very clumsy, awkward way to have all these things happen. Like, let's run through the desert, go back, have the sister split up. I don't understand any of this.
And this is so confusing because, like, they keep saying, oh, it's Harry Longhorse, so he's dead. But they never show a body or anything remotely resembling some kind of a death scene. And then they're just like, oh, yes, I see that. A longhorse and a bear. No, something like a bear and a sea slug. Are we supposed to be seeing these things? Because you're showing us nothing but faces.
Yeah, she's seeing them in her mind. She's getting these images. Yeah, they're driving through the desert, and Coyote guy here with his heightened senses, he smells the dead body, and he knows it. He recognizes it's a dead body. So he hops out of the Jeep and he tells her, "Don't come down here." And then we see him like he's looking towards the camera, like he's seeing the dead body, but we never see a dead body. But he explains it, and then she has all that stuff about the bear, sea slug, or whatever. And she also makes a reference to, like, him, what does she say about she says, I don't know, it's silly, just images, something I felt, I really don't know. But the desert is so empty, there are so few secrets. She also has a line in here about something about him dancing, right? Doesn't she make a reference to him dancing? And he's like, wait, does she know I'm the Coyote? No. Oh, yeah, when they're driving. Maybe. And unlike me, it's hard to live with a man who dances through life. And he's like, did she mean, wait a minute, what's that smell? And then he smells the dead body. So she can apparently perceive that he's not like just a normal fella. And she's also getting these images of a bear sea slug combination. I don't know. And that's the monster. We see the monster later.
A little much too Coyote.
Yeah. That's actually how this started. Engelhart, if you read those introductions there, he said this idea started back in like 76, where he was talking to Marshall Rogers or something, and his idea was a coyote on peyote. And that was the starting point for this. So
all superheroes of their decade start with a good pun.
So now the scene shifts again, and we're back. We see two cars having an accident on the road there, and this foxy Native American lady gets out of her car, and she's like yelling at the guy in front of us, "You can't just stop on a freeway like that, you jerks," And but these are the same guys that we saw kill Jimmy Longhorse or whatever, and they do the old brain zapper on her because she's also some sort of a doctor, anthropologist lady, and they ask her, "What do you know about coyotes?" And again, we get a second rendition of the coyote myth, where she. Now, do we learn what was? I can't remember anything unique about this version of what they're talking about.
Well, I guess at the start here, I guess this makes some sense. Coyote, trickster, god of many tribes, Hermes, Mercury, Loki, all the same. So I guess that explains his whole trick with the craps table and shit like that, or the roulette table. Because I guess Loki could probably rig roulette and shit, right? He's Loki. Yeah.
He's Loki. Yeah, why not? Oh, in this one, the coyote meets a lady, like a lady coyote.
Oh yeah, the Great Spirit gives him that, I guess, as a reward.
Yeah, he falls in love with the lady coyote, and then they're enjoying their time out in the Southwest there. But then some conquistadors show up, and they're like murdering things, them damn conquistadors.
Nobody expected the Spanish Inquisition.
So now we cut back to the big casino or whatever, and our buddy
back in.
our buddy Sly, but the guys at the door catch him and they brain zap him. They do the thing on his brain now. you know?
Yeah.
And they want to see what's going on with this fella. So they start talking to him. But, I guess it's some sort of chemicals they put in your brain and the chemicals are interacting in his brain and making him go loopy. He's having a real hard time with it, you know? And, the coyote spirit leaves his body.
Mm-hmm.
And you explain the rest of it because I don't know what the fuck is going on.
I don't know either. Coyote says, I planned on this. I know the Shadow Cabinet. Even these low-level thugs, these bouncers who know nothing of the Coyote, who haunts their leader's dreams, would have to be formidable. But Coyote is most sly. I can control my dance so the illusion seems as I will what fur. Huh?
Yeah, I didn't understand that.
That isn't what the kettle Mac. I don't know. So I guess he's getting confused because whatever these drugs are, they're affecting him.
Yeah. But we shouldn't make them affect the readers. The drug should affect the character, not the reader. But, you know, what are you going to do? So.
And like the were animal guy starts talking to the just actual full coyote. And there's like a Spanish conquistador there. I don't know. At one point, the full coyote spirit starts making out with Sly's body, I guess. I don't know.
I don't know if he's trying to bite him to murder him, but yeah, it looks like he's Frenching him, you know, right on the mouth.
Yeah, sure does.
And then he goes back in his body. I guess this was like the coyote spirit and the man spirit merging or coming together. I don't know.
Yeah, he's trying to find his way back in, and he's like, it's up to me, and I did it. I'm Sly. Sly. He's trying to keep hold of his identity, I guess, so that he can, you know, keep from completely shattering.
And then the guys just kick him out of the casino. Yeah. So what did they learn exactly from this? The guys.
Doesn't seem like much.
Yeah. But then they go upstairs and they report it to like the Shadow Cabinet. Now the Shadow Cabinet, there's a guy there with half a head. Have you noticed this?
Yeah, this guy was great.
Because from what I learned, apparently half of his brain is in another dimension. Right?
Yeah.
So
I think he makes brief mention of that.
What he likes to do is he likes to put little birds up there, and then he nurtures them into like some sort of spiritual being or something. I don't understand, but yeah.
That's even better. Yeah, I don't know what Steve Englehart was thinking here, but that's fucking weird.
And then there's another
half dome, and yeah, he's just got missing. You know, he's a bald guy missing half of his skull. It's so weird.
Then there's another guy who's kind of like Destro in a robe or something. He's got like a gold face instead of silver.
Yep.
But he's in some sort of like what kind of robe? Like a priest robe or something with purple and blue. And I mean, he's visually cool looking, but kind
of like Madame Mask.
Yeah, Madame Mask. Yeah. Forgot she existed. So I don't know. Do we know what they want to do? This they try to rule the world. They're trying to overthrow the governments of North America, right? Is that what they're doing?
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Our kind will triumph in this world half dome. The suppression of man, the triumphs of the will. We are its destiny now. Yeah, they just want to take over.
Yeah. All right, so now we cut back to Sly. He's leaving the casino, and he's still all woozy, you know, all loopy on the on the drugs there. And he feels terrible, and he's, but luckily, Cassie finds him.
Yeah. And she's like, instead of immediately thinking he's on drugs, she's like, oh, he must be heat stroke. You're out in the desert too long, huh?
She goes, I know how to take care of you. So she takes him inside to, put him in a cold bath, you know, soak him in cold water and stuff and help him get better. But then he just snaps out of it, and he's like, he thinks he's dying one second, and the next second he's perfectly fine. He's like, I'm okay. I'm completely okay now. And she's like, what? You creep? You did all that for a joke or to get into my place? And he's like, no, Cassie, I swear I was really sick, but all at once, I don't know. I just got better. It's true. I don't know what happened to me. I just know that you came to my aid. For that, I'm very grateful. Perhaps it was your beauty that saved me. Beauty for the beast. And she says, you're such a bullshit artist. Too bad I always fall for bullshit artists. And then they make this sweet, sweet love.
Oh, yeah. Sad that we just cut to afterwards, though. We don't get to see the
Yeah, just afterwards. But we do see them both naked in the bed, although their bits are covered up, with arms and legs and stuff. But we do see a hint of a nipple there on her because she says, he's like, I mean, it doesn't matter now that I'm here with you, Cass, because he was telling her about that old girlfriend that fucked him up. Because she goes, someone's hurt you in the past. That's what every lady says to me too, Jank. When we're finally together. You're such a tortured
You're
soul.
crying.
You're such a tortured soul. Why are you weeping?
Yeah.
I've been hurt in the
You would
past.
make love without crying just once.
I've been hurt in the past. And he's like, I mean, it doesn't matter now that I'm here with you, Cassie. And he's like, I think you mean that. He's like, I mean plenty, Blondie. Hey, what time's your sister coming home? So basically, he's naked with this lady in bed, and he's already asking about her sister. This guy's a real piece of work.
I got the impression that he was asking how much time we got before your sister gets back.
No.
Maybe it's more sinister than that.
Yeah, he's asking, hey, what time should she get home? We can make it a three-way here. And because she's like, Natalie, and then she throws the pillow over his face. She's like, let her find her own guy. And he's like, oh. And he's like, be careful, I bite necks. What? I don't know what you wanted to say.
Yeah, that was weird.
But then he hears somebody out in the hallway. So he goes, I gotta go check this out. And he goes running out there, and we see him naked there. I like this shot. It's a pretty cool shot, though, because it's like a mirror. Did you notice that? He's like looking into a mirror there. That's pretty cool. And he's like, a note for me, but delivered to Cassie's. They followed me. Come at midnight tomorrow. No signature. And he says, no need.
Yeah,
so,
the shadow people.
Yeah, it's fucking shadow people. So now, Jank, we get more Coyote myth stuff because they go to another Native American guy. I don't know if they killed that lady they talked to, the second one. We don't know if she dies. Probably, right? And then they're talking to this old guy. And this old guy's like, yeah, I guess you'd be coming here to talk to me or something. I don't know. And he starts talking about the Coyote. And what does he say about the Coyote this time around? Anything?
I think this is just where white people showed up and it was bad. The Coyote got distracted for a while, and Coyote saw his children dying, but this was not the worst. For Coyote woman, his wife, given him by the Great Spirit when the people prospered, was also dying. She was too spiritual to live in the coming world. The closer the settlers came, the worse it was with her. In the end, Coyote chose to leave people.
Like the closer people come to me, the worse it is. Yeah. Stay away from me, please.
Same. So his wife dies and he's all sad. He just begs the Great Spirit to kill him, I think. But the Great Spirit's like, no, as long as people are alive, you must be there with them on Earth. He's like, God damn it.
Poor Coyote. He's stuck. All right, so now Sly shows back up at the casino or whatever, and he's like, here, I'm here. And the guys blindfold him and they take him up to the shadow cabinet or whatever, these shadowy people behind a big screen. And they're
putting some kind of VR goggles on him, but I guess that's blindfold.
40 years before VR goggles they had it. But there's three other people there with him. I think one lady and two dudes. And
because those guys earlier were like, oh, we found a fourth. So something they saw in him made them think that, oh, he's a good choice.
So this shadow cabinet folks, they take him down to this dungeon, and they say, hey, to make it to join our ranks, you have to survive, Mm-hmm. And they release that monster, the bear slug monster.
Yeah. Which I never felt like I got a good enough look at to really tell what the fuck this is.
I was looking at it. I'm like, wait, does it look like a bear? Why is it? It doesn't look anything like a bear. It kind of looks. So I guess that she saw an image of a bear slug, I guess, because it does walk on like four legs or whatever. But it looks like a slug. And
kind of slimy. I could see that a little bit, but yeah.
So it's running around.
Star Wars kind of.
Yeah, a little bit. So this Sly, again, being the great hero that he is, he says, I'm not going to fight that thing. I'm going to hide around the corner and let everybody else fight it.
Smart.
So the slug murders one of them. And then they start fighting the monster there. And then that Madam Mask guy, he comes down and he says, all right, that's enough. We've seen enough. And he commands the monster back into its truck or whatever. He's like, get back in there,
Yeah, this is a weird test. Like none of these people looked like they were particularly tough. So it's like, what are you trying to test them on? Like, they could fight a giant bear slug monster? Like,
yeah, this bear slug monster is beating the fuck out of all of them, really, when you think about it.
Yeah.
And then he killed one of them, and then the mask guy's like, all right, that's enough.
We've weeded out the weakest.
Yeah, I guess. So he's like, all right, congratulations, you three have witnessed a mere fraction of the Shadow Cabinet's power and survived. From this moment onward, you will help us to wield all this and more. I don't even know what that means. Okay, so maybe they are strong behind their funny masks. That's what he's thinking. Sly's thinking in his head. But Coyote is still slicker than they'll ever be, and he smiles knowingly. And then in the final panel, we have the mask guy talking to Halfhead. And he's like, well, one of these three is definitely our Coyote man in disguise, Prime Minister. I feel it absolutely. Very soon now, I shall put my finger on him. Permanently. Coyote 2, yours in 60 days. So if you want to see him finger blast Sly, it'll be next 2 months from now. So there it is. That's Coyote issue 1. Thoughts?
Yeah.
What do you think?
Well, this was rough sledding. I can't say that I had a great time reading this one. I guess I'll give it a point for Half Dome because he was pretty cool. I like the thought of having a guy with half a head.
Although at the end there,
did
you notice that last
panel,
they
drew the whole head.
Yeah, he had the whole head.
Maybe he gets it like a couple minutes a day, like, supervised visits with the other piece of his head. Yeah, so I mean that was cool, and the semi-nudity, I'll give it a point for that. And I guess a point for him being able to say he was horny. I could relate to this book. But other than that, the plot was a complete mess. The art was good. I liked it. It's not, one of my favorites, but it's definitely unique and it's an experience.
Yes.
It fits this book, so.
Yes.
No complaints there.
Yeah, completely distinct look. The coloring is spectacular. I love the art in this book. Like you said, it fits this book perfectly.
Yeah.
But I will be honest that there are some times where I'm like, wait, what's going on?
Yes. Like not showing them finding a body. It's like, why would you do this? Why wouldn't you just show them finding a body? They're kind of getting from this confusing dialogue that they found a body, but it'd be nice if you helped it out with the art.
Yeah, a 10 out of 10 for like style and uniqueness, but maybe storytelling like a 6 or 7 on the art. It was a little. Yeah. There were some panels where I didn't know what was going on. But how would you describe the art for those who aren't watching the YouTube video, who aren't seeing pictures of the art? How would you describe it? I guess it's kind of like if I'm trying to think of people who it reminds me of, it's a little Sienkiewicz-y.
Yeah.
With maybe a little Simonson mixed in, like the sharp edges on things.
Like it definitely makes sense why they would have him do like New Mutants, 31 to 33 or whatever it was, where like right after the Bill stuff. Like, yeah, this was a good transition if you're gonna follow that up.
Maybe even a little Howard Chaykin-y.
Yeah, a little bit of that. I would say better than that, but yeah, along those lines.
That's what we're dealing with here. And
the coloring I think is really, really the best part.
Yes,
it
really sets it off.
Very colorful, very different than most comic books you would see.
Particularly those sections of the Coyote folklore and stuff. Those sections are really something visually to look at. So, so big thumbs up for Steve Leialoha here. I loved his work here, but you can see why it took 5.5 months. I mean, he really put his effort into this, but.
Yeah. I guess, no wonder if he was doing the coloring and the art, like that's going to take long.
So the writing though with Englehart, it's just a mess. Yeah. Just an absolute fucking mess.
This was like a pilot episode for a TV show that didn't do a very good job of getting you hooked.
This is not how you do a first issue of something. This just isn't it. Again, you need to establish the hero right away. Why do we care about him? Why is he likable? Why should we he did none of that. This guy is not likable at all. I could give a fuck what happens to him. I like Cassie and Natalie just because they're foxy ladies and they seem nice. So I like them, but I don't understand what's going on with him. The Shadow Cabinet, I guess we know they want to take over the world. We have the guy with half a head and the mask. I guess that's something. But I don't know. None of this worked at all. This is all just very confusing. I have no idea. Like that guy said in the letter column, issues from now. No idea what his powers are. No idea what he can do.
Yeah, maybe instead of all the backstories of the Coyote myth and stuff like that, maybe save that for later on. And first you recap what's happened and who this guy is and what his powers are. The more relevant stuff.
I have no idea. At first I thought, okay, well, he's just like a werewolf. He turns into a coyote when the moon's out, because that sounded what it sounded like. But then you see him leaving with the astral plane and shit floating around. I'm like, oh, well, maybe that's all he is. He's just an astral coyote spirit. Kind of like a Brother Voodoo situation where he has his brother's spirit inside him, and it goes out. But then that's not what it is either, really. Because then we see him later turning into kind of like a coyote guy riding the motorcycle and shit. So I'm like, I don't know what the fuck is going on. I don't know anything.
It's one thing to do that if you're okay, he's just discovering his powers and he doesn't know what they are, so the audience can't know either. And we're discovering it together. But no, he knows his powers. They're just not telling us in the audience.
Yeah, and man, the dialogue was just weird a lot of the times. This is a mess, a giant mess. And if you read the introduction, you almost get an idea that this Steve Englehart fellow, at this point in time in 1980, he was really full of himself. He was really full of himself.
He was riding high.
And he thought he could do no wrong, and he's just whatever he puts down on paper is awesome. Everyone should love it. And he's doing all this crazy stuff because it's epic. Epic comics. I'm a creator owned. I can do what I want, It's like, yeah, creator freedom's a great thing until you get it. And maybe not the best thing.
Epic comics seem to have that problem. Remember Electra Assassin? It's started out all right, but then Frank Miller just went a little bit too Frank Miller, and it's got crazy.
Like all these wrestlers should leave WWE for that creative freedom, and then they get out on their own, they fucking stink, They're all terrible. You might need someone to rein you in every once in a while. So, I don't know. This story's do you see, some people in the letters column I read from issues later, they said, this has potential or something, but maybe it has potential, but it needed to be focused more, narrow the scope of what you're trying to do here. I don't know, simplify things.
Yeah. It's hard to say it has potential when I don't know what's happening.
Yeah.
I don't know what his powers are. If I knew more about it, maybe I would be like, oh yeah, you could reboot this and it might be decent. But as it is, it's like a half a concept, kind of like Half Dome's head.
And I guess he probably doesn't want to, well, this isn't a traditional superhero book. We're trying to do new things. Well, yeah, but there's a reason those things are done the way they are, because they work and they're effective storytelling. That's what you need, effective storytelling, so the readers know what's going on. This is just a mess, all around mess. But the art's nice. I like the art a lot. So,
sure.
Yeah. So I would recommend it for people to read it, just to at least look at it. Maybe not read it, look at it.
Yeah, flip through it. Yeah.
So, Leia Leola's art a 9, the story a 1, so maybe a 5.
Yeah, I guess that's about how it averages out. Yeah, that's an accurate rating right there.
So
yeah,
Coyote. Yeah, experience it.
That Steve Leia was not the one that stuck around, because he was the one pulling all the weight here.
Yeah. Maybe just check out the YouTube video of this here podcast. I have a lot of pages up there of the book. You can see that. Then you don't even have to worry about reading the book. You just, All right. So there it is. Coyote issue 1, 1983. It's different.
Yeah, that's true. I'll give it that.
All right, Jack.
It kind of made Grant Morrison last week make even more sense. I was like, wow.
It did. Who would have guessed that would have been the more coherent Coyote story?
Yeah.
All right. So, again, with the, I feel like we should talk more about Grant Morrison and the Animal Man, but I don't, just because that guy had no idea that the coyote was still alive. You know what I mean? Like if you have them stop the truck, get out of the truck, see the dead coyote resurrect himself, like holy shit, that's the devil, and then drive off. All right, it would make sense. But no, he has no idea that thing's still living.
I didn't even get the impression he thought it was a coyote man. I think he just thought he ran over a regular coyote.
Yeah.
So why would he expect that was what made his life go to shit?
It just makes no sense. All right, anyway. All right, so that's 2 weeks in a row. Hopefully, Jank, you pick something that doesn't involve a coyote for next week.
Well, I got you there because there will be no coyotes in this book. But we're going from Epic Comics to another comic book publisher that starts with an E.
Eclipse?
No. Little known company here. Because last week, as I believe I mentioned last week, we were talking about Brian Bolland because he did the cover of that Animal Man issue. And I was like, well, my next pick's going to actually be a book that Brian Bolland worked on quite a bit. So that's what I'm picking this week. I'm going to pick an Eagle comic.
What?
Yeah, Eagle Comics.
I had no idea there was such a thing as Eagle Comics.
Everyone's favorite publisher. We're going to do Judge Dredd number 2.
Judge Dredd number 2. I've heard of Judge Dredd, obviously.
Yeah.
What year is this?
1983.
Oh, same year as Coyote. How about that?
Yeah.
Is this like the first volume of Judge Dredd? Like,
you know what? I'm not sure. I think this was the earliest one I saw, so it very well might be.
Yeah, I have no history of Judge Dredd. I never even watched the movies or anything. So.
Oh, the Stallone movie is shit, but the Carl Urban one is great. I wish they would do a sequel to that one, but they just won't.
As an outsider, he's basically a badge-carrying Punisher. Like
yeah, pretty much. He's judge, jury, and executioner. Like
that's right.
They are cops, and they get to just do the sentencing themselves, basically. So
all right, yeah, that's right. That is the tagline. I remember that. Yeah, Judge. Yeah, all right.
Yeah.
So all right, next week, Judge Dredd issue 2 from 1983. This will be good. Any idea who wrote this, or did he?
Let's see.
What if it's Englehart? You shit on him for
John Wagner.
I don't know who
I think it's actually like three stories, so they may have different writers on each one, but I think Bolland does the art on all of them.
I had no Eagle Comics. I had no idea they were the Judge Dredd publisher.
I think he definitely went to somewhere else later on, but I guess we can do all that research.
Yeah, we'll talk about it next week right here on the big show. So until then, don't get any jank on you.